the ACE matrix. All right. My name is Ejiro Agbadudu-Onoja, and I am a serial entrepreneur. So I started my first business when I was when I was 8. So my mom had a supermarket. We lived in the staff quarters in a university. My mom had a supermarket, and really, she catered to the students mostly, because the families living in the staff quarters usually did their bulk buying from the market. So it's just maybe sometimes when you forget something, you want a little salt, some bread, some egg, but mostly most of the provisions were bought by the students who lived in the staff quarters. So it was then I saw a need, even in my mom's business, and decided to start my own small business alongside my mom. And what I was doing was making egg sandwiches for the students. And every time I made them, I sold out in the morning. And that was my first business. But even then, there were particular uh, students who bought these egg sandwiches, and there were particular students who didn't buy these egg sandwiches. And the ones that didn't buy them, who lived around, they didn't buy them because those were students who went very early to class. And so by the time they were leaving, they needed breakfast, yeah. They didn't want to eat their normal bread and coke. They didn't want to eat their normal chips. They couldn't prepare a meal before leaving. They wanted my product, but they didn't buy it because by the time they wanted it, it was not available. But those who went late for classes always bought out all my products, my egg sandwiches. So my egg sandwiches, you see, have their attributes were not just it was not just the egg sandwiches, the bread and the filling and the egg and all that, but also one of the attributes of the sandwiches is when it is delivered. So I saw a need in my mom's shop that, okay, these students will want to have breakfast, but then I was not meeting the needs of all my customers. I was just meeting the needs of, as it were, a segment of my customers, those who go late to class, students, you know. And today we're going to talk about the ACE matrix and see how it helps us to find all the um, all the attributes of our product. Some of us don't really look at some of the things as attributes of our products. We don't know all the attributes of our products. So we're going to look at the attributes and we're going to map them analytically so that we see, are they really meeting our customers' needs? Are we really meeting our customers' needs? Are there some segments of our customers that we cannot just get to buy more, or there are some segments that we had mapped out before, but we're not just reaching them. And we feel our products, they're quite good. Why are they not buying? Or why are they not patronizing? Why are they not purchasing? And we're going to now map out these attributes and see, okay, how do we turn this around and increase our sales and be better than our competitors? So the ACE matrix, A stands for attribute categorization and evaluator matrix. All right. So what it does is pick out your, can we go to the next slide? What your ACE matrix does is really pick out your attributes and kind of highlights the ones that will bring your customers, affect their purchasing decisions. It highlights the competitive imperatives versus your competition, right? So we're going to look at the next slide and look at how to first of all get our attributes out. Now, there are some attributes that are kind of intrinsic to the product itself. Let's go to our next slide. they are intrinsic to a product itself. For instance, you have a bottle of Coke. It's soda in a bottle nowadays, in a plastic bottle, and that is an attribute of Coke. But there are so many other reasons why people buy Coke, right? That is not just, it's not just physical. It's not just size. Sometimes it's not just the color. Sometimes it's the packaging, how it is different from uh, other competitors, or other competitors' product. Sometimes it's the way, in the manner it is purchased, in the way it is sold. Sometimes it's the deal that goes with buying the product. Sometimes it's the customer service that goes along with buying the product. And all these things are attributes and important, salient attributes of your products. All right. So let's go to our next slide and see what attributes really, how we can pick out attributes. It's kind of easy to say, okay, they are probably the way it is purchased, they are probably the way it is sold. So let's look at important. There are four important things you should look for when you are trying to pick out the attributes of your product. So the first thing is identifying the parallel needs. All right. So why else do my customers buy this product? Yeah, we can see a beautiful lady sitting down, drinking a cup of coffee, and just enjoying her environment. Now you see someone who goes to buy coffee or tea or any other thing in a shop. But let's call the product, let's say coffee now. And you can get Nescafe coffee with your milk and sugar for probably 200 naira in a shop. Probably driving to a petrol station, you're going to work, there's this new, and puts it in an environment where you can sit, just a lovely environment like the one this lady is enjoying. But the coffee, the same cup of coffee is 1,000 naira. The same cup of coffee is 1,000 naira. And you're like, why would someone pay 10 times the price for it? She just wants to sit down in this environment, beautiful environment, and enjoy that coffee, right? That environment is also an attribute of the coffee. So you see, you go to a very classy restaurant and you pay 1,005, 2,000 for a bottle of Coke. That is 100, 150 naira outside. You are the environment itself is a part of the attribute that your customer enjoy, and that's why they will bring out that much money to pay extra for it. And so you have, what are the parallels? Why else are people buying this product? You have to understand your customers. All you have, I think there was someone in China that I think was McDonald's opened. They don't know that these people, they eat their meal. They like to savor their meal and sit down and eat. They don't pick up and go. And yeah, they liked McDonald's food. They liked the price, but they didn't want to pick up their food. So they sat down there and stayed for a long time eating their food. And it was like a waste. They couldn't get, how will I say this? They couldn't get customers in and out like they planned, like it was built to be, because you didn't identify the parallel need of your product. All right. Then you want to also identify the purchasing patterns. How do your customers buy? How do they really buy? Your target segment, all your customers generally, how are they purchasing your product? Do they prefer to buy online? Do they prefer deliveries? Yeah. Do they prefer to come buy it personally from you? So, for instance, a product like fresh juice. So many times I have bought fresh juice, and they have been really bad from supermarkets. So I would rather purchase fresh juice directly from the producer. I would rather buy that. Yeah. Some customers feel this product we buy directly from producers Some are okay buying from wholesalers, some are okay buying it from the supermarket, they buy more online. You have to identify their purchasing pattern, all right? Because then you now know, okay, well, how to put your resources, throw your resources. Maybe you need to go get a website, maybe you know you need to bring out your you have to be online all the time. Maybe you need to go and get some telecommunication software and so on and so forth. Then you want to observe your customers' usage of the product. All right. So, of course, you're not going to stay in the grass and, and start stalking your customers. But the picture what it's trying to paint is you need to observe what they are doing. You don't just sit down and make assumptions that okay, this is how. Of course, you buy a drink and you drink it. That's how they use it. You have to observe their usage when they buy your product. Maybe you need to carry out a market survey, and find out, okay, yeah, how do they use my product? And you'll be surprised in ways customers use products, and it's not the way you intended. All right. And then you will also, forgive me, okay, you also want to identify customers' risk perception for your product. Like I just said, I'm very afraid buying fresh juice from supermarkets. I feel you can't go back. Sometimes it's just so stressful. You go back, you have to go to the cashier, look for your receipts. If heaven help you, you have not thrown it away. You have to get the manager out so much, like, I mean, for 1,000 bottle of juice. And so I don't want to buy the juice. Okay, let me just stick to normal juice that yeah, it's always okay when you buy it. So you need to know your customer's risk perception. There are some products that banks have launched. It is so cumbersome, filling the application form. By the time you think about it, you want to look for an alternative. You really, really put in energy looking for an alternative rather than, you want to know how do they feel buying your product? Do they feel safe? Do you have a policy that you can return in a month? You can return without question asked. What is their view about your product? All these things, you begin to pull out attributes, yeah, of your product. So we can go to the next slide. All right. Let's go to our next slide. All right. So after you pulled out your attributes, you want to map out your attributes, and that's where the ACE matrix comes in. So we are just going to do a peripheral look at the ACE matrix, but then as we go along, we'll really go into the ACE matrix, right? So the ACE matrix, this is basically it has your roles. You have the roles talking about the customer's attitude, the customer's attitude to your product, not to your product now, to your product attribute, how they feel towards your product. Is it a positive feeling? Is it negative? Are they neutral? Yeah. So the columns show the attributes. Are they basic? Are they discriminators? Are they energizers? All right. So when your customer feels positive about an attribute that is basic, we say it's non-negotiable, right? So it's an attribute it's because of that attribute that you are playing in that market space at all. Yeah. So you say that for instance, that you are into the subgroup category of juice industry, then that's you should have a juice in a bottle. It's non-negotiable. You shouldn't have juice in a cellophane bag or in a Ziploc. It's non-negotiable. It's basic, yeah. And when your customers feel negative about your basic, as long as every other provider, yeah, that's it. It's tolerable. Okay, we're good, we're fine. Everybody, there's no place. What can we do? That's how it is in this country. But then you have basics that are neutral. If the attribute is there, so what? It doesn't make a difference. Yeah, they don't really care if the attribute is there. But then you have the discriminators. There are attributes that when your customer feels positive about them, it's a differentiator. It makes you stand out from your competition. Yeah, you it makes people, it makes your customers flock to you. It keeps them buying from you. It's a differentiator. But when your customer feels negative about a discriminator, then it becomes a dissatisfier. People just kind of, okay, let's stay away from this product. Let's go to the alternative. It pushes your customers away to the competition. Yeah, and so it's not applicable for your customers to be neutral for a discriminator for the fact that it's something that stands out. Yeah, so it's not applicable. Then you have your energizers. There are those attributes that put the spark, so to speak, in your product. Your customers feel positive about it. It's an exciter. That's why they buy the product. That's what makes them make the final decision. If they put your product with similar other offerings on the table, they will pick your product because of the exciter. Yeah, if they feel positive about it. But then you have customers can feel negative about your exciter, and that is when it becomes an enrager. Yeah. And this one, the customers will not only go to your competition, they will go all out to pull you down. They will put it on social media, they will call you out. It's an enrager when they feel negative about an energizer. And of course, because energizers are attributes that usually stand out, there's no neutral. There's no neutral. It's not applicable for neutral. So we've said that you bring out your product, you try and take out your attributes. You're watching what are the parallel needs. You want to see how the customers buy your products. You want to see their risk attitude towards your product. You want to watch the way they use your product. So you're bringing out the attributes, then you put it on your grid, your S matrix, and you map out your attributes, which we're going to do shortly. So what do we do next after mapping out the attributes? Let's go to the next slide. So we brought out our attributes, we've mapped out the attributes. Next slide. We validate, and we validate. All right. So you use your ACE matrix for a continuous reconfiguration. So you have, most of the time you start your ACE matrix with assumptions. Yeah, you know your product, you know your customers, or in quotes, and you have pulled out the attributes, you have written down what you think that your customers feel about it, and what you think okay, this is tolerable, and this is this is a dissatisfier, and this is an exciter, and so on and so forth. And now you need to validate. Is it true? You might need to conduct some market research to validate your assumptions. You don't just make assumptions, because sometimes managers may be wrong about their assumptions, and even customers may be wrong about their feelings. They might be wrong about why they think they buy the product. All right. So you go back to the grid again and you adjust. But not just that. We're going to see, as we look at our ACE matrix, we're going to see that there are some times that you have written an attribute and you think it's a discriminator. Okay, you feel that it's a differentiator. Wow, I just thought about this and I added it to my product. It's something that the customers have not seen before. My competition doesn't have, and your competition copies it. It's no more a differentiator anymore, because everybody's doing it, and it might move to the left of the grid. And what do you do next? You can't just say, okay, I've written it as a differentiator, I'm leaving it there. I don't have. You have to keep configuring with your ACE matrix, right? All right, so we're going to go to the next slide and look at the basics of the ACE matrix. We're going to break it down. before we look at an example. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so like we said, we have the roles talking about the customer's attitude, how they feel, whether they are positive or they feel negative about it. And this table here, I just pulled it up to put here because really the table shows basic responses to attributes in these categories. The responses, they are kind of a combination of your customers' responses, and really they are actually responses of the manager who is doing the ACE matrix. So you see the basic, when a customer feels, okay, this is non-negotiable. So what it says that it performs at least as well as the competitor, but not better. It's the same thing in the tolerable, perform not worse than the competition. Like I said, okay, everybody, yeah, it's in this, if you're going to buy this product, this is what you're going to face, yeah. It's not going much more worse than the competition, but it's not any better. And then the neutral, yeah. So the neutral, you have, it retains only attributes that are needed for other target matters or other justifiable reasons. Now, let me draw us back to the reason of the ACE matrix, or how we do the ACE matrix. The ACE matrix is for a product. You do an ACE matrix for a product at a time, okay? So if you are in a business where you do multiple products or you provide multiple products and services, you do not do an ACE matrix for all your products, yeah? And you do not do an ACE matrix for all your customers. You have to pick out a segment, because what a particular segment feels positive about, another segment for the same product or same service might feel neutral. They don't really care about it. So you have to say, okay, it's for the middle class, for the higher class. You have to know what segment you are focusing on in this particular. So you practically might do an ACE matrix for one product for different segments that you serve. All right. So sometimes your neutrals are attributes that really don't matter to any segment. Sometimes your neutrals can be, they don't matter to this segment, but it's important to the other segment. But we are focusing on this segment right now. Now, if you look at your discriminator, it says it's than competition. The attribute is salient to the target customer. It's important. It differentiates. You are better. That's what makes you stand out from your competition, right? And then for the dissatisfier, we say it performs better than the competition, and you have to correct problems soon. So why I said this is a response of the manager, when you have your customers feel negative about your discriminator and it begins to be a dissatisfier, you have to correct that problem. You look at it and say, oh, wow, I put this as a differentiator, but this segment is looking at it as a dissatisfier. What do I do to move it up the grid? Yeah, what do I do to take it back to what it's meant to be? All right, so as we said before, it's not applicable for neutral. Energizers, it said you perform better than your competition or competitors. And so this is an attribute that you have placed in your product where uh, you are better than the competition. It makes you stand out just like the discriminator, but it's an exciter. This is what makes your customers buy your product. You have loyalty because of this exciter, yeah? But then when it becomes an enrager, when the customer uh, begin to feel some kind of way about it, it says correct the problem at any cost. Capitalize on the competitors and ragers. So this is something you want to correct quickly. If it means taking out that attribute totally, sending an email to all your customers, you need to correct it immediately. All right. And then you have your competitors who have brought out an attribute that becomes an enrager. I mean, this is a time to say, okay, yeah, I have a competitor. People feel this way about it. I can take that attribute and turn it into an exciter or into a discriminator. You can move your competitors and rager and turn it into a differentiator or an exciter for your customers, and all the customers in that market come towards you. Yeah. So we are going to now look at an ACE matrix. Okay, an example of an ACE matrix I did for a client. We could go. Yeah, let's go to the next slide. I hope we are getting something. Can we go to the next slide? Next slide, please. All right. All right. So we have the ACE matrix of Genzoid food, and it's for her beetroot juice, and it's for the upper and middle class. Yeah. All right. So let's begin to use this example to explain. So she does a whole lot of products apart from juice. Well, we just picked that product and the beetroot juice. So see, we did not say juice because she does food, platters, and so on. But we picked a particular product, the beetroot juice. And the basic, let's pick our juice now. Non-negotiable is freshly squeezed beetroot juice with 1 hour shelf life. It's fresh juice, yeah? Okay, what is tolerable? What's the basic that customers feel kind of is negative? It's pricey. All fresh juice are kind of pricey. Yeah, for a I think 75 cl bottle, yeah, like 1,000 naira and above, depending on the brand. And yeah, people who want to drink fresh fruit, freshly squeezed juice, feel yeah, it's pricey. Yeah, that's why I buy it anyway, because with 1,000 naira you can buy almost 12 packs of soda, okay, of the same liter, 75 liters. So it's pricey, tolerable. Everybody's fresh fruit is pricey. All right. Now, if you see, I have in the neutrals added apple, and I have it as a differentiator, but I put it in red. Okay, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to jump the neutral and just go straight to the differentiator, and then you see why. Now, I asked her, I try to find out what's the differentiator. I mean, you have a lot of brands of freshly squeezed juice. And she said, oh, hers is not juice, it's a smoothie. It's actually pulpy with all the fibers in it. So you're not just getting freshly squeezed juice and they extracted all the fiber and just left you with the fluid and sugar. But the fibers are there, which makes it really cool and extra healthy. Yeah, and so that's her differentiator. And she also said she's done a survey, and all of, let's say 90% of the beetroot juice she has seen is usually just beetroot and pineapple and maybe some ginger, but she adds the apple. Okay, so she feels that's her differentiator. So then let's go to why the added apple is in red. So I asked, okay, so if I drink your juice, I can taste all three. And she says, well, really, to be truthful, the apple doesn't come out. And I said, then it's neutral. I mean, if the apple was there or not there, the customers don't really know the difference. And she said, oh yeah, so she puts all the ingredients, and she tells you about the health benefits of all the ingredients. You know, you have the beetroot and what it does, the pineapple and the apple. But really, if you remove the apple, you do not know, it tastes really the same. And she says, especially when the pineapples are really sweet. So she says she feels it's a differentiator. I mean, it's in the label, there is apple added. But so we put it in as a neutral, and because the truth is, if you remove the apple, because apples are quite costly, if you remove the apple, it could probably bring down your cost. Yeah, because it doesn't add to the taste of your beetroot. You just want to put, okay, mine has apple. And then the satisfier, she felt, oh no, everybody feels good about the fact that it's say, yeah, nobody else does this, you know, it's really thick, it's not just water, and so on. So we looked and we checked, there was a customer that drank it, not knowing that there's fiber, just thinking, okay, nice juice, somebody has talked about it. and started going to the bathroom frequently because of the fiber. She didn't know that there was fiber in it, okay? And so I said that can be a dissatisfier because it's not in her label, it's not in her promotion that it's fiber. Yeah, it's a smoothie. And someone can drink it and feel, I had running stomach when I drank this juice. And it becomes a dissatisfier. And next time you see Genzoid beetroot, you say, "Ah, no, no, I had running stomach before when I drank this juice and go to another brand." Yeah. So I said, do you think maybe you could put it on the label that this is fiber or it's a smoothie so that the customer is aware before they buy? Yeah, you in this category, you have some customers that, yeah, they want healthy drink, but right now I don't want fiber in my system right now. So let them be aware that this is a smoothie, okay? And then I asked, okay, exciter, do you have an exciter? Yeah, she gives her customers quarterly surprises. She gives them gifts on their birthday. She sends the hello messages every week. You see, that is not a physical attribute of our product, but it comes with the product. So it's an attribute of the product. So you get a hello message just because you bought the juice. But then again, I asked her, how much is it costing you for this exciter? Yeah, because uh, you are going to have to add this to your cost. That's going to show in the bottom line. How much is it costing you to do this? How do your feel? Oh, all of them like it, they're all happy, they look forward to it. So no enrager, yeah? So we just no enrager there. Why are you giving me? Is it that you're making so much money? Are giving me gifts quarterly, even though it's not my birthday. On my birthday, you still give me gifts. You know, it's like I'm paying you too much for this product. All right, you have to watch out for that. And also you have to watch out on, okay, we're gonna begin to break down out. We're gonna look at the positives and the negatives. All right, so let's go to managing our positives. Let's go to the next slide. Managing our positives. All right. All right. In managing our positives, there are three questions that we have to ask. Sorry, my screen is moving a little. All right. Will the next revenues exceed the operating and investment costs due to this addition? This is what I asked her. Yeah. Are you making more money because you have added, you have spent money to put these attributes? Are you now making more money? All right, because you find companies putting attributes to make to stand out, to be differentiators, and to put in exciters, and it didn't do anything. In fact, their profits dropped because at the end of the day they made less profit, and customers were quite happy about it, but it didn't make them buy anymore. It didn't make them loyal, any more loyal. All right, so you have to ask that question when you're managing your positive. And the next question is, what process must be used to identify and incorporate the next generation of positives? So you have a differentiator, and you put it in 2 years ago, and it's 2 years now. You don't have any differentiator. You have to keep adding. Like we said, you have to it's a configuration. You keep going and going back to the grid. Yeah, you don't just put it worked, and you leave it. You can't leave it, because by the time you put a differentiator and you begin to pull in customers change their brand because your brand has a differentiator. Your competition is not going to sit down, cross their leg, and look at you. Very soon, your differentiator becomes a basic. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Yeah, yeah. So you need to have a kind of process that you can use to identify, just so that you can produce the next generation. For example, there's an automobile company that puts the engineer in the sales showroom. They watch the customers, how they are sitting, looking at the car, what they are looking out for. They are watching the customers. They put them to sell to the customers. and it gives them ideas. Yeah, it gives them ideas. Okay, what to do next, what to add next in the next brand of cars they are going to do, in the next version of cars they're going to be making. Yeah, so that's the process that they have put in place for that company. So you have to think of, what do I put in place so that continuously I don't just stay a local champion. I did something great 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and my product has just been the same, and people have gotten bored and moved over to your competition. Yeah. And the next question you're going to ask is, how do we bring down the cost of introducing these positives? Yeah. Like I said before, it's going to tell on your bottom line. You're going to bring your positives and it's going to be great, but it's going to cost you money to introduce them. All right. Even if it's making you are trying to improve on your product, it's going to cost you money. So how do you bring down the cost? Because very soon, what you think is a differentiator, what you think is an exciter, might just become a basic, and everybody expects that. Oh, yeah, for me to buy this, this should be here. I mean, why you what you started out was a differentiator of a particular company. Yeah, so you must know how you must figure out how to bring down your cost when you're introducing. So I talked to Genzoid. Do you really want to do this gifting thing? I mean, every quarterly for all your customers. By the time other your competition starts giving gifts, everybody feels, well, if I buy a juice, I get a gift. Basic. Are you going to be able to sustain it, the cost, and your bottom line? How is it going to be looking? All right. And then there are always side opportunities. Okay. If you are not trying to improve on your own positives, then you are trying to take advantage or seize the opportunity when a customer views a competitor's advantage as negative or even neutral. All right, so we're going to look at let's see. So the next slide, please. Managing negatives. Okay. Uh, yeah. Three things we should note. All right, you cannot remove all negatives and still produce a cost-sensitive product. Yeah, you cannot produce a perfect product. They are still going to be, at best, tolerables. Yeah, you cannot say, yes, I'm going to map out all my attributes and make sure that my customers are just in love with my product. There's nothing bad about my product. And think that the product will not be expensive. All right, so just have in mind there are going to be negatives. Yeah, but in negatives we find opportunities to outshine competitors by by segment specific attributive mapping. All right, so we had this compact computer that had this home oriented computer series. Yeah. So you buy a compact computer, you are fighting, or you buy a computer before you are fighting with your wires, especially when you are a computer novice like me. How to put the wire, how to upload the software. You have to call a friend. You have to call a technician to help you out. But a compact figure out a way that your wires are already placed in position, all your softwares are already loaded, and so in fact that itself made them to generate a new blue ocean. People who were not buying computers, who felt, I don't need computers, started buying it because it was easy to use. I think there was something like that Nintendo did. I mean, at that time where they put on a blue ocean strategy, I didn't use I didn't use I didn't play video games. I just felt it was too complicated. This is not my space. This is not my thing. But when Nintendo came with their new products, you see me taking out time to play tennis or to do a dance or something with my kids or with a family. In fact, we were having family time. All right. So they brought out an attribute for their already existing product that was a kind of a discriminator, and customers were contribute. Everybody was dumping their PC, I mean, what they call it, PlayStation. People that didn't play video games. Sorry about that. I think I went off a little. Must be connection. All right, sorry. So we are talking about managing our negatives, and we say we can find opportunities, yeah, in managing our negatives and making sure that, hey, if once your customers begin to view an attribute as negative, you begin to you have to quickly move it up the grid, move it up to from a dissatisfier, and you move it up your grid. Yeah, you have to watch it for negatives. By the time a customer begins to feel you're tolerable, yeah, your basic negative, when they feel, why are you still doing this? I mean, nobody does this anymore. It's not tolerable anymore. It becomes a dissatisfier, it moves to the right. So you have to keep managing your negatives. Yeah, looking at your grid, going back again. Negatives can become opportunities, but you must watch for it. All right, so let's go to the neutrals. What do we do about the neutrals when your customer feel, so what? Let's go to the next slide, neutrals. Okay, first sentence, the focus should be on justifying their elimination or their retention. So when you have customers feeling so what about your product, you don't begin to say, okay, no, let's leave it because, or no, you begin to justify why it should be there, justify why it should be removed. Yeah, from there, not justify why it should not be eliminated. Oh, sorry, why it should be retained. Sorry. So like sometimes you have some product attributes that basically are just attributes that maybe since the product started 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it has always been there. Really, the customers don't really care about it anymore. But as it was in the beginning, you just keep that attribute there and it's not improving your bottom line. It's costing, you need to cost you money. But this attribute that we can't remove it. Our founding fathers had it like that. So you need to begin to justify why it should be taken off, even if it's for a particular customer segment. So I think it was I wrote this down because their name is so funny, Matt Sushita, that were doing cam coders. Yeah, some of the attributes of the camcorders were so sophisticated. It was costing them money to do it. And really, the average buyer really didn't use it. And because those attributes were expensive to produce, their camcorders were really expensive to buy. It became a dissatisfier for customers. What they thought was a discriminator, setting them apart, differentiator. It became a dissatisfier. I mean, it's too expensive. Rather just buy. I mean, we don't need all this wonderful. Yeah, other products don't have it, but we don't need it. We don't use it. It was neutral. But just removing those neutrals help them to cut down on product cost by, I think, like, was it $135, and it increased their sales. Yeah, so you focus on the neutrals because customers don't really care about this, or that segment of customers don't view it as something important. Yeah. All right. So we're going to ask one question. I'm going to ask one question and answer the question, and probably we'll go to Q&A. All right. Let's go to the next slide. I'm sure some people have been thinking about this. Can the ACE matrix be used for a new product? Yes. The answer is yes. So you have a product you have not yet introduced to the market, and you want to see how your customers, what their attitude is to the attributes. Yeah, you want to find out what are these other salient attributes probably I have not seen, and I can work on, make them discriminators, put in exciters. Yes, you can do that for a new product. I think there was a company I read about trying to do an S matrix for a telecommunicator provider who wanted to sell to, I think it was like, is it, they were trying to do it for a segment of the shelf telecommunicator hardware and software packages. Their target were middle market companies. So it was a product that had not yet entered into the market. Yeah. But the first thing, whether it is a new product, a product that hasn't entered into the market, or a product, your existing product you want to work on, is the same process. You have to go and map out, bring out your attribute, map them out and validate. Probably do market research, introduce to a particular section of people, and begin to, go back and reconfigure, go back and work on your ACE matrix again. All right. And there's this story I read. I think I discussed it in one of my business classes. Someone discussed it with us, and it was Pepsi. Yeah, Pepsi had always been second to Coca-Cola. Yeah, always Coca-Cola is their biggest competition. Always trying to meet up, and and I think Pepsi wanted to say, okay, how do we improve on our attributes? And they began to observe. I think they had about 350 families buying Pepsi and other products, but just buying Pepsi at a discounted rate. And they will follow them to the shop and follow them home, see how they buy, see how much quantity they buy, see how they use it at home. And they saw that, hey, they buy, even if they're buying a crate. And at that time, Pepsi was still in bottles. Yeah, Coca-Cola was still held that their hour-shaped bottle. And they bought a crate, they took it home, and they finished it. And they went back to the store and they bought a crate and they finished it. So why don't you buy more? Because they take, they drink, they consume everything that they buy. And they saw, oh my gosh, they buy just as much as they can carry. I'm sure some of us here can remember carrying heavy bottle crates. And that is where the PET bottle was born. That's where the plastic bottles was. They changed to plastic bottles 12, and customers bought more. All right. So this is one important tool that you use, and make sure that you are meeting your customers' needs. Sometimes your product is just right. Your product is so good, better than the competition. But one of the attributes that you deliver your product late. But I like it to be delivered early. And maybe that's just the only thing you need to tweak. That's just the or the dissatisfier that your customers can stand. Yeah. So are you meeting your customers' needs? All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope we learned Q&A. Let's see. Do we have any questions? I think you can put in your questions. Someone says, can the ACE matrix be applied in edible? Yes. ACE matrix, yeah. Your ACE matrix can be applied to services, not just tangible products. All right. Do we have if we have more questions? I think we can type in questions, except I've done a very good job and we perfectly understand ACE matrix now. Are we good? Okay, we have another question. All right, it says, what is the best model frequency to get feedback from customers about negative? So any kind of market strategy, market research strategy, it's fine, sorry. Any kind of market research strategy is fine. You can do focus group, You can do personal one-on-one interviews with your customers. You can send questionnaires. You just want to find out, can you just send them to their emails? Can you just fill this in? I would like to improve on my product. If it's a new product, you don't have a customer base yet, same thing. You use all these market research tools and find out, yeah? Is there a frequency? I think that's left to you. There's no particular, nothing cast in stone, okay, for feedback from customers. But then again, once you are focusing on your product and the attributes, and you begin to feel that your customers are kind of feeling negative about things you have put to be differentiators. Yeah, you have to work and change it to move it up your grid so that they begin to have a positive feeling towards it. Especially for enragers, you have people begin to feel bad about your exciters. That one you must change immediately. You must work. It will not only push your customers to your competition, they begin to speak against your product when it is an enrager, okay? Someone says, how important is doing the ACE matrix for your competition's product? I don't know how you can do an ACE matrix for your competition's product because you won't know all the attributes. You are still trying to map out the attributes, yeah, of your own product. You are still trying to map out the attributes of your own product. Okay. So what you are doing is you are looking at the customer's reaction to your competition and saying, okay, yeah, this was a differentiator. Customers don't like it. They feel bad about it. And so I want to work on it to become a differentiator for me. Yeah. So it's not as if you're drawing an ACE matrix for someone else's product, but you're watching out for opportunities. All right. So that you can turn your customers' dissatisfier into a differentiator, or even turn what your customers view as tolerable to everybody to a differentiator. Let me give a very basic example. Yeah, you have in those days, you go buy vegetable, ugu from the market. You buy it and you go cut it in your house. You want the person to cut it for you. You're going to pay a little bit extra. But then someone says, hey, I'll cut it for free, and everybody's flocking there. And now, what was a differentiator has become basic. When you buy vegetable in the market, you expect that the lady or the guy cuts it. If the person doesn't cut it, it becomes a dissatisfier. I'm not buying from you. You don't cut my vegetables. Yeah. So people always watching the competition, what they are doing, and seeing how to do the same. It happened in Nintendo. Nintendo brought out this new easy-to-use video game that everybody could play, and very soon everybody had it. It's basic. Yeah, it should be in video games. That's it. Yeah. All right. Say services are intangible product. Can we use an ACE matrix for services? Yes. I think we'll just answer that you can use services. You can use your ACE matrix as services. Your ACE matrix for services. So I wish I actually did an example ACE matrix service, so that you see that it's just as easy. You take your service, a particular service that you offer to customers, and you pick a particular segment. Yeah, pick a particular segment, and you take the particular service that you render, and you map out your attributes just the same way you do for a tangible product. All right. So if your ACE matrix says you're having okay, but your sales are not increasing, then you probably have made an assumption about your attributes. Yeah, it's not to sit down in your office and begin to draw up assumptions about your attribute. You have to take it there. You don't just think your customer feels some kind of way about your product. Meanwhile, that's not what they are thinking, because your customers can be very irrational. Yeah, you are trying to draw up a rational analysis of an irrational behavior. All right. So sometimes you need to go to the marketplace. You need to go there and do a market survey. You don't just assume. And then there are some times that you have put a differentiator, and your bottom line is not improving. You might need to work on that differentiator and say, okay, this is not necessary. We put it there, and people got excited about it, but they didn't buy. It didn't make them buy anymore. It didn't make them loyal. I mean, if they go to the supermarket, they sometimes, if they don't see a product, they don't have any qualms in picking the competitor's product. Yeah, it's not making much of a difference. So you need to work on it. That's why you keep going back to your ACE matrix. All right. I remember Fabuloso. I think when they want to come into the Fabuloso, it's air freshener, odor neutralizer. When they were going to come to the market, they went and did the market survey. In fact, one of the women that they used, she was a forest ranger, and she used to deal with skunks a lot. And she always smelled like a skunk, which is really bad. And she didn't have friends. She couldn't keep a relationship because she smelled like that. Her car smelled like that. Her house smelled like that. And so when they used that, she used Fabuloso. I mean, she gave so many good reviews. She was one of their champions. And I started a relationship. It didn't smell at all. It actually works. And they started doing adverts in how it removes smell from your home. And everybody was talking about Fabuloso. But when they were looking at their retailers and wholesalers' shelves, the product was mounting up. They were not selling the product. And like, what's going on? And so they went to the houses of the people they are used for the market research. There's a particular lady, cats. I mean, as you enter a house, you just begin to smell the cats and using the product. Oh, yes, okay, yeah, the product is under my sink. You want it back. And like, don't you use it? Don't you want to use it to kind of neutralize the smell? And the woman was like, what smell? And so they went back to their grid, went back to the table, and found out that really people don't want to say their house smells. I'm going to buy Fabuloso because my house smells. Really, people who live in smelly houses really don't smell it. It's the visitors that smell it. And they began, so what they did was to generate another entryway for their product perception, not just as a smell neutralizer. So there was this lady who actually used the product after in fact, the person who used the product most was a very clean, calculated lady. So when she's cleaned up everywhere, she sprays it on her linen, she sprays it on the curtains, and she said it just gives that extra crisp feeling. And that was where that's how they started advertising Fabuloso. And it started selling out. People started buying it, started going off the shelf. So we might need to rethink our attribute for our product. Go back to the grid. All right. So someone says, from the example given earlier about the smoothie, is it possible to use too much information for customers about a particular product label? So I know your ACE matrix, right? You're not sharing it with, I don't think I really understand this, but you know you are not sharing it with your customers. It's what you do as managers privately. All right. So let me see. You are not, is it possible to use too much information from customers about this question? But you do not share your ACE matrix with your customers. So what I told her to do about putting it as a smoothie, you're just letting your customer know it's a smoothie, and then the customer can make a choice. It's the same thing as saying, putting out the ingredients in your smoothie, that there's apple and beetroot and ginger. You put that product so that the customer know, oh, this product is here. I'm allergic to this product. There are some customers that are allergic to pineapple. I don't drink anything that has pineapple in it. And so you advertise your product as a beetroot juice, and it has pineapple, and you didn't put it in your label that there's pineapple. And I drink your beetroot juice, and I'm in the hospital on admission. Okay, you can imagine that that's a serious dissatisfier for me. But if you put it there that there's pineapple, I'll stay away from it and buy probably another product, not the one with the pineapple, okay? Says the ACE metric reminds me of a practical application of choice experiment to scope product attributes and consumer preferences. Yeah, yes, that's a good one. I don't think that's a question. But then ACE metrics, you are not just looking at your attributes, you are categorizing and evaluating the weight of your attributes and how they can be how they can contribute to your bottom line. Yeah, how you can improve on your sales, and not just improving sales, because you improve on your sales because you are meeting your customers' needs. All their salient, you are bringing out the salient attributes to meet your customers' needs. All right. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have more questions. I don't think there are any more questions. I hope we've had a nice time and we've learned something, and all of us are going to go back and draw up a grid, even if it's with assumptions for the first time. Draw up an ACE matrix, map our product attributes to a particular segment, and begin to pull out our attributes that meet our customers' needs, remove the ones that are neutral, begin to work on the dissatisfiers. Definitely, you don't want an enrager, and begin to think, yeah, begin to think, maybe exciter, I'm spending a little bit too much. All right, thank you so much. We have one more question. I guess we'll take this. Our time is up. All right. Please, you can ask your question. My hand is up, please. Ask your question. All right. All right, thank you very much. We can round up now. Thank you. Let's go back to our grades, to our ACE matrix, draw it up. I think we have, I hope all of us wrote down, I don't know if this slide is going to be shared. We wrote down the basics of the ACE matrix. You can use it for your products. Thank you so much.